Ready to unlock some next-level people skills. We're diving deep into how to have confidence and power in dealing with people by Les Giblin. And let me tell you, this book is packed with aha moments.
It really digs deep into the core of human nature, and he starts with this idea that might surprise you. We're all driven by the need to feel important.
It's like that saying everyone wants to feel like they matter. But Giblin takes it a step further. He calls this innate desire the ego, but not in a bad way, more like it's this divine spark in each of us. What do you think about that?
I'm totally with him on that. It's not about being egotistical. It's about recognizing that deep down, everyone craves appreciation, to be recognized for who they are and what they bring to the table.
And when that need isn't met, watch out. Giblin even has this saying, low self-esteem means trouble and friction. He actually shortens it to LSMFT. Totally sticks with you. But it makes you think, when someone's feeling unimportant or unappreciated, it can lead to, well, problems. Conflict, misunderstandings, even just being difficult. He even tells this story about a man who was so offended when a woman fell asleep while he was talking that well, let's just say it didn't end well.
A bit extreme, but you see his point, right? We've all encountered those difficult people. But what if instead of writing them off, we tried to see things from their perspective, that need to feel valued?
That's like a light bulb moment. Suddenly, those challenging personalities become a little more understandable.
Exactly. And that understanding is the key to unlocking more positive interactions.
So how do we actually use this knowledge? It's one thing to understand the power of the ego, but how do we actually tap into that in our everyday interactions?
Well, that's where Giblin's techniques come in. He provides these practical tools for connecting with people on a deeper level by appealing to that desire to feel valued.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What are some of these tools?
One of the simplest yet most effective is the power of a sincere compliment.
You mean like showering people with praise even if they don't deserve it?
No, no, not at all. It's about being genuine and specific. Instead of a generic, you look nice, try something like, that report you put together was incredibly insightful. You have a real talent for analysis.
So going beyond surface level flattery and acknowledging something you genuinely admire or appreciate.
Exactly. When you pinpoint something specific, it shows you're paying attention and that it's coming from a genuine place.
It's like you're feeding that need to feel important, that divine spark Giblin talks about.
Precisely. And when someone feels seen and appreciated, it changes the whole dynamic of the interaction.
And compliments are just the beginning, right?
Right.
Giblin has a whole arsenal of techniques for building rapport and fostering positive connections.
No, absolutely. And they all tie back to this fundamental
That's
principle:
right.
make the other person feel important and respected.
So we're not talking about manipulation here. It's about understanding the psychology of human interaction and using that knowledge to build more fulfilling relationships.
100%. And it all starts with that crucial first impression.
First impressions. We all know how much they matter. But I love how Giblin goes beyond the usual advice, like dressing well and having a firm handshake. He talks about these subtle cues that can make or break a connection.
Projecting confidence and enthusiasm is key, he says. And again, not in an arrogant way, more about conveying a genuine interest in the other person.
So no complaining about the traffic or the weather when you first meet someone.
Definitely not, if you want to make a good first impression. Giblin really emphasizes the importance of starting the interaction in the desired tone. Do you want a casual, friendly exchange or a more formal and professional interaction? Set the stage from the very beginning.
That makes a lot of sense. Don't come in with a laundry list of complaints. Set a more positive tone.
Right. And you know what can instantly create a sense of warmth and approachability? A genuine smile.
Okay, I know it sounds simple, but I've actually heard that smiling can trick your brain into feeling happier.
It's true. Giblin talks about this salesman named Frank Betker, who attributed his success to a daily smiling practice. He would spend time every morning practicing his smile in the mirror.
Now that's dedication. But hey, if it works, right? So we've covered the importance of understanding the ego, offering genuine compliments, making a good first impression. What other gems does Giblin have for us?
So you've made a killer first impression. Now what?
Well, Giblin says mastering the art of conversation is crucial.
Okay, but what makes a master conversationalist? I've always wished I could walk into a room and just click with anyone I talk to.
Well, according to Giblin, it's all about showing genuine interest. He says anyone can become a better conversationalist if they adopt a few key strategies.
Easier said than done sometimes, right? It can feel awkward trying to make conversations sometimes. Right, but Giblin suggests starting simple, like asking about their interests or what they do. He calls this the Me Too technique.
Me too. So I should be like, oh, you like to knit? Me too. Even if I've never picked up knitting needles.
Not exactly. You're not pretending to be someone you're not. It's more about finding genuine common ground. Maybe you both love to cook or you've been to the same city.
Okay, so I'm actively listening for those Me Too moments where we connect. I like it.
Exactly. It's about finding those shared interests or experiences to build rapport.
Makes sense. But what about keeping the conversation going? How do I avoid those awkward silences? Or even worse, dominating the conversation?
Ah, yes, the dreaded monologue. Giblin has a technique for that too. He calls them U-turns and green lights.
Okay, now I'm picturing a conversation where we're driving down the road, slamming on the brakes, making U-turns.
Haha, not quite. Think of it this way. A U-turn is when you steer the conversation back to the other person's interests. So let's say they mention they love to travel. Instead of jumping in with your latest vacation story, you could say, "That's amazing. Tell me more about your travels. Where was your favorite place to visit?"
So instead of hijacking the conversation, you're putting the spotlight back on them.
Yes. And that's where the green lights come in, using phrases like, "That's fascinating. Tell me more," or "What was that experience like?" You're essentially giving them permission to share their thoughts and stories.
Like saying, hey, I'm really interested in what you have to say. Keep going.
Exactly. And this all ties into one of Giblin's most powerful techniques. He calls it the white magic technique, becoming a good listener.
Now, that's something I think we could all get better at. It sometimes feels like truly listening to someone is a superpower.
It's so true. Giblin even quotes Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, who said, "Listening is not only the most efficient thing in business, but it is also the point of departure for all human relationships." Powerful stuff, right?
So true. I mean, who doesn't love to feel heard and understood?
Exactly. And being a good listener means more than just hearing the words. It's about active engagement, making eye contact, asking questions, and really absorbing what the other person is saying.
Instead of just waiting for my turn to talk, I'm really in the moment with them trying to see their point of view.
Yes, Giblin believes that skill truly listening is one of the most valuable tools we have for building strong connections and influencing people in a positive way.
Not manipulating or tricking them. It's about genuine connection.
Right. When you start with that mindset, it can really change how you interact with the world.
Speaking of influence, we've talked about ego, first impressions, conversations, and listening.
Yeah.
But how do you actually persuade people without coming across as pushy?
It's a great question. And Giblin has some great advice for that. He believes that persuasion is less about winning arguments and more about understanding the other person's point of view.
So it's about finding that common ground and framing things in a way that makes sense to them.
Exactly. He uses this fascinating study to illustrate his point. Yale psychologists were studying different approaches to persuasion. They divided students into groups and had them listen to a lecture on dental hygiene. The first group got hit with a strong appeal, all the scary stuff about what happens if you don't take care of your teeth.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What about the second group?
The second group got a more moderate appeal, focusing on the benefits of good dental hygiene, like a sparkling smile.
Okay, what about the third group? Did they just get free toothbrushes?
Haha, no. The third group got the same strong appeal as the first group, but there was a twist. They were also given very clear instructions on how to improve their dental hygiene, what kind of toothbrush to use, how to floss, the works.
So it wasn't just about scaring them, but about empowering them to take action.
Exactly. And the results are really interesting. The group that received those clear instructions showed the most significant and lasting improvements in their dental hygiene.
So it wasn't enough to tell them what to do. They needed that practical guidance.
Right. And this principle applies to all kinds of persuasion, not just dental hygiene. People are far more likely to be swayed when they feel empowered to act, not just pressured or coerced.
Give them the tools and the confidence to change. I like it.
Exactly. And speaking of tools, there's another fascinating aspect of Giblin's approach to influence that I think you'll find interesting.
Okay, we've talked about ego, first impressions, conversation skills, the art of listening. What's this other fascinating technique you wanted to share?
Giblin calls it his magic secret.
Ooh, I love a good secret.
It's so simple, but it really works. Ask for advice.
Wait, seriously, that's it?
I know, right? It sounds almost too good to be true, but think about it. When someone asks for your advice, how does it make you feel?
Important. Like they value my opinion.
Exactly. It feeds that need to feel knowledgeable and respected.
Okay, I can see how that would work. But wouldn't they see right through it if you're just faking it?
That's the thing. It has to be genuine. Don't ask for advice on things you don't really care about. Giblin suggests focusing on areas where the other person has real expertise.
So if I'm talking to someone who's a whiz at marketing, I could ask for their thoughts on a campaign I'm working on.
Exactly. Not only do you get valuable input, but you're also subtly stroking their ego, making them feel like their opinion matters.
And that makes them more likely to want to help you in the future.
Precisely. It's a win-win all around.
This reminds me of something Giblin said earlier about how we become what other people believe us to be.
Oh, absolutely. That's such a powerful concept. You said if you treat someone like they're untrustworthy, they're more likely to act that way.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you expect the worst, you often get it.
But the opposite is true too. When you treat people with trust and respect, believing in their potential, amazing things can happen.
We have so much more influence than we realize. Our words and actions have a ripple effect.
It's a huge responsibility, but it's also incredibly empowering. We can choose to use that influence to lift each other up and make the world a better place, even in small ways.
So if you're looking for one takeaway from this deep dive into Les Giblin's How to Have Confidence and Power in Dealing with People, let it be this. Small changes can have a big impact.
It all starts with understanding those basic human needs that we all share, that desire to feel important, respected, and valued.
So the next time you're interacting with someone, whether it's a colleague, a friend, or even a stranger, remember what we've talked about today.
Offer a genuine compliment. Actively listen. Ask for advice. Show them that you value their perspective and watch how they respond.
Those small gestures can have a ripple effect, creating more positive and fulfilling connections in all areas of your life.
And that's something worth striving for.
Absolutely. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you in the next episode.